is Dr. Ray Pastor, and today I'm going to talk about instructional design salaries. What kind of salary you can expect, when you're graduating from a program or just being an instructional designer. How do you get paid? What kind of a salary can you get? Okay, so I've been an instructional designer. I own an instructional design consulting firm, and I'm a professor in an instructional technology department. So I talk to employers all the time. I work with students, I work with alumni to get jobs, so I have a really good idea of what kind of salary you're going to get. All right, so as an instructional designer, with a master's degree, the basic salary that I see of students graduating from my program going into corporate with no work experience in the field other than their internships and work experience that they were provided in my program make between $60,000 and $70,000. That's regardless of where you live. That's nationally what they're getting. Obviously, if they're moving to a high metropolitan city, they might be getting a little more, and if they're moving somewhere else, they might be getting a little less. But it's around that range, between $60,000 and $70,000. So that's about the starting salary in the field. Now, if you're going into K-12, obviously it's going to be lower. And in North Carolina, where I am, that's significantly lower in K-12, but in other states, could be a little more money. If you're going into higher ed, salaries really aren't bad in higher ed for instructional designers, with starting salaries in the mid-50s, to even in the 60s for a starting level, entry-level instructional designer. So really good salaries. So those are the kind of the starting salaries for an instructional designer. Let's talk about a little more advanced. So as you move up in your career, the e-learning guild releases a report every year of the average salary. And the average salary in the U.S. of an instructional designer every year is between $85,000 and $90,000, which is the average salary of an instructional designer. Now, on the high end of that, a lot of director level, senior level instructional design jobs I see online are more like 120 to 150 range. That's getting more into the managerial part of instructional design, like being an instructional design manager of a team, and they can go up significantly more than that as well. But those are some of the averages, and that's more of the high level what I see out there in the field. Now, so those are just salaries. Now, what about a consulting? Because obviously there are different fees you charge when you're consulting. So first of all, I usually say it depends what kind of work you're going to be doing. Like if I'm simply doing development work, development work is something that can be outsourced to another country. You're talking low-end dollars. So you might be getting only $30 an hour. But now, as the owner of a consulting firm, I never hire people just to be a developer. I only hire people to do design and development. They really do everything for me. So the minimum I will pay someone is about $60 an hour. That's the minimum. And that's about what I see in the field as well. Most of my students who are consultants on the side of teaching or another job make between $60 and $100 an hour, depending on the project, the client, and their experience level. So those are the base, average consulting fees. If I'm doing front-end analysis, or evaluation, I'll charge a little more, closer to that $100, $150 an hour, versus just doing design and development, which are a little easier, that I can hire an entry-level person and pay them $60 to $80 an hour. So it all depends what kind of work you're going to be doing. And then people ask about well, how do I charge someone for this? How do I bill someone out? Do I bill them hourly? What if they want a fixed rate kind of thing? And that's going back to figuring out how many hours a project is going to be, which is a whole different discussion. But my recommendation for people is usually, if it's a small project and I know it's small, like I'm developing an hour of training for someone using a pretty simple software, I usually give them a fixed rate. And if I'm developing something that's a little more tedious, big company, I'll probably give them an hourly rate. So it all depends on what you're doing. But those are the base average salaries in our field and what you should expect when you're graduating with a master's degree in our field, and even working and moving on and forward in the field. Those are the types of salaries you should expect. Thank you.